Hey everybody, welcome back to I Know a Guy. If you're new here, my name's Anthony. I'm a business profit advocate. On this show, we interview entrepreneurs, business owners, professionals, and just people doing cool things. For example, today we're talking with Michael Fritzius, the visionary behind Podcastify Me, where he helps business owners share their stories and grow their networks through the power of podcasts. A dedicated entrepreneur and family man, Michael also runs a handmade, eco-friendly product business with his wife, blending creativity, connection, and purpose into everything he does. How you doing today, Michael?
Doing awesome, sir. How you doing?
Pretty good. I'm about 95%. I have a bit of a cold. It's being a little stubborn. So, if you see me mute and hack into my hand, just ignore me. So,
There we go. Well, hey, at least we're social distancing. I think we're at least 6 feet apart. So, we got that going for us.
I'll get the tape measure out to be sure, but I'm pretty sure you might be right. So, to verify, where are you calling in from? Where are you at?
I'm in St. Louis.
Okay. Yeah. A little further than, Iowa, a little more than 6 feet. So, are you a lifer? You been there forever? Or are you newer to the area?
I'm a lifer. I was thinking about that not too long ago when everybody else is like, oh, yeah, I've been in St. Louis for 3 years or I just moved here or I lived in Italy and I'm just like, I've been here my whole life. I'm not sad about it. I mean, we got a Walmart, so I think we got everything we need. So I'd be okay if I stay here for the rest of my life.
Got a
Yeah.
Walmart, Amazon delivers. You're good, right?
I know, right? It's like, why do you even have to go outside? This is wonderful.
Yeah, no, but yeah, actually, yeah. So awesome. What's fun down in your neck of the woods in St. Louis? I've been there a few times. I grew up in the Midwest, so of course we've been. But what do you recommend people do when they visit?
Eat. The food scene here is insane, and I'm a big eater. I'm a foodie, and we've got every kind of ethnicity that you could think of, and you don't have to go far. You can get authentic everything. I've had food from Nepal. I've had Hawaiian food. There's plenty of Chinese places. There's all kinds of stuff. But yeah, you're not going to find gooey butter cake. You're not going to find toasted ravioli. You're not going to find Provel cheese much of anywhere. If you're finding it outside of 100 miles away from St. Louis, it's fake. You got to get the legit stuff. Come to St. Louis. Yeah.
I got you. So what's the go-to then? It's Monday night. You don't want to cook. You had a long weekend. Maybe you were traveling. You had a long day, and then you don't want to. What are you ordering in?
I want to order in.
Okay.
Probably my go-to would be peanut butter and honey sandwich. My wife makes awesome sourdough bread. We make like 5 loaves every single week, and we eat it. It gets put to use. We got 4 girls, and they love bread. We love bread, but it's a perfect blend of protein and honey. I know I just touted the virtues of eating St. Louis food, and then it's like, well, what do you eat? I'm like, none of it. I eat at home. Like everybody else, if you're coming here, eat the food. But like, if you're coming to our house, we're having sandwiches, going old
Sold.
school.
Sold. Yeah, no, I like that. Yeah, I was really expecting yeah, go to this restaurant. Nope.
Nope.
Make sourdough bread. I like that answer. That's up there. That's good. So awesome. So if you're in St. Louis, go to Michael's house, have a sandwich. Awesome. Got it. So,
No, edit that out. My wife will be like, we don't have any beds. Like, throw them on the couch. Yeah.
yeah, no, probably should. So what can you tell us about what you're doing? What's Podcastify Me?
So Podcastify Me is actually not what it used to be. So it's kind of cool. When I started it back 3 years ago now, almost to the day, it was, hey, it's automated podcasting. It's awesome. And people didn't really care so much about the how. They really cared about the what and the why. And what it is now is I'm enabling people to do awesome things with the medium and build some incredibly deep relationships in record time. So for people that are really good storytellers, for people that have the gift of gab, for people that just build friendships quickly and they want to use those skills to bolster their business, a podcast will get you there lickety split. I've accidentally done it myself. So I eat my own dog food every single day and I apply the principle of the golden rule. How would you want to be treated if you entered into a conversation with somebody? How would you respond to you? What's the end result? But at the end of the day, you still have to money. There still has to be some value changing hands. So I just happen to use podcasting to bring that about. It's a lot of fun. We're breaking molds and dispelling and busting myths every chance we get. And I'm getting to build an awesome team of go-getters, and I'm enabling them to do some great things and push the boundaries of what they think is possible. It's a lot of fun. When I wake up and my feet hit the floor, I'm like, hey, what craziness will we do this day? And it's always a good it's a good adventure. It's a good journey.
Yeah, it is, and I've been doing it for way less time than you. But I've realized that pretty quickly. You get to meet people you would have otherwise not met, and I'm a firm believer. You ever read How to Win Friends and Influence People?
Yeah, I've got it on my dresser.
Exactly. It's a yearly read for me. Don't be interesting, be interested. There's so many people out there doing cool things that I didn't know about. Why would I not want to talk to literally every single one of them or share their stories? Because, how else are you going to be able to talk to everybody if you're not sharing it? So, absolutely, I love that. So you said you've been doing it for about 3 years. What got you started doing it? Was it just like an epiphany one day, or were you always kind of in the video digital space?
No, man, it was ego. It was totally ego that got me started. So back a long while back, like 2017, 2018, I had bought a Blue Yeti, and my intent was I'm going to record some coursework for my test automation company that I had prior to Podcastify Me. I started that back in 2015, and I just procrastinated it to death. I never got started. I was always, oh, it's never going to be good enough. And once it's done, I'm going to have to go back and, edit everything and change stuff, and it's going to be stale. And what if the technology changes? Blah, 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 blah. I'd come up with all these different excuses. And then in 2019, that's when I started getting wind of platforms like Anchor FM, which has now been bought by Spotify. And I thought, oh, podcasts. I could do a podcast. I could get on and talk about job searching and the power of a thank you and corporate culture. It's basically just me getting on and opining about things for about 30 minutes. I got 3 episodes in and I thought, this sucks. I don't want to do this anymore. It wasn't hard to edit. I just didn't want to do it because nobody was listening to it, not even my mom, because she doesn't have the internet. So, like you said earlier, fast forward a few months later, I kind of put the show on hiatus. And when I started having guests on the show, I had a good friend of mine reach out from Germany. And he was my first guest of the first season. And he was the last guest of the first season, too. So we kind of bookended it a little bit. But like you said, meeting people, being able to hear their story, you never would access them if it weren't for that podcast. People come from all around. Like, can I be on your show? Can I be? And yeah, so that's what got me started was vanity, ego. I've got an opinion. The world needs to hear about it. And it morphed into something so much more. And it has been absolutely amazing ever since.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love the journey from ego to, oh, there's cool people out there. I probably want to chat with them. I like that because
There you
self-aware
go.
ego. That's nice. I like that. Anyway, so awesome. So what's your favorite that you've been doing it for years now? And obviously you like a lot of stuff, whether it's meeting people, interesting stories, just having conversation. What's your favorite thing? Would you say, would it be more introverted where you're like, hey, I like having the conversation myself, or I like helping other people discover it?
Well, I mean, I've always been extroverted, so I love talking to people. And my favorite part about it is being the guy that people can relate to. And the first time that happened, the first time I had somebody share an aspect of their story that they were telling me partway through, and they stopped and they said, well, Michael, I'm not sure why I'm telling you this. I've never told anybody this before. And I thought, oh, maybe I just got one of those faces, right? But it just kept happening. It kept happening. And it stopped being weird fairly recently. But there is kind of there's a term. I love this word, the word sonder. Are you familiar with that word? You know what the word sonder means?
In context, yeah, I couldn't define it for you right now though.
Okay, well, I'll tell you because I know the definition. So, sonder is the distinct feeling when you look around at the world at large. Like, let's say you're walking down a crowded, like New York City, honk honk, and everybody's like brushing up against each other. And everybody's like just living in their own heads, and they're not like, don't make eye contact because like you'll get stabbed. But if you look at people and you put your head up and you look around and you notice every single one of these people that I'm brushing past that they don't even notice me, but I'm seeing them and I'm noticing them, they've got a story inside them that is just as crazy and variegated and full of ups and downs. And they've got stresses and they have love and they have hates and they've got things that just everything that made them this person up to this point in time, right here, right now, that feeling you have, how big the world is, that's Sonder. And the best part about podcasting is I get to experience Sonder on a daily basis. Sometimes multiple times a day. If I get crazy and forget to put constraints on my calendar and I have like 7 interviews scheduled, what the heck? So I get Sonder on tap. It's wonderful. It's such a big feeling. There's 8 billion people out there, and they're not all extras in a movie starring me, right? They all have stories, and I get to hear some of them. I get to be that guy for those people. How cool is that? You do too, man, because you're a podcast host. You get it.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. People surprise you too. Like a lot of times that ego, you can get in your head like, oh well, I've talked to a lot of people that do what you do, or I think I know going in where this is gonna go. And then they say something that blows your hair back, and you're like, oh, okay, that was really awesome, and I am an idiot for thinking otherwise. I apologize. So absolutely, Sonder, it's a real thing, and it's something we've all thought about. So you're right, getting to kind of. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
Steal
So
it.
yeah,
Steal,
that,
just
it's
steal it. Take it and run.
I'm gonna edit this out of here so nobody ever hears it, and then I'm gonna use it. So anyway, um, so uh, so that's your favorite thing. What would you do different if you had to start a podcast over today as opposed to years ago? What's changed? What works? What are somebody maybe it's just struggles that you see most people start off having?
Well, what I would do differently going back, I didn't start a podcast with an intent to try to get business out of it. I won some business accidentally. I had one episode with a guy who, right in the middle of the show, he was saying, I think I need to talk to you about producing a podcast. I've wanted to get, okay, we're doing this here on the show. Like maybe we ought to hit like stop record or something like that and turn it into a sales call. I didn't bring that face with me. I need to go put on my sales face. Right. So thinking back, and again, I don't regret any, like love learning things the hard way. And I often say if I had to do it all over again, I do it over exactly the same way I did and learn even harder, faster. But if I had to change something, one thing, I would begin with the end in mind. I would say, what is the thing or things I want to sell? How do I organize it in a stack where people get in at the free level and they transition up through the levels until they become high ticket spenders? How do I make an irresistible offer that's worth at least 10 times the amount what I'm charging, where people feel goofy passing that up if they're the right person, of course? How do I do that first before I even start, typing into the keyboard about how to start a podcast? Because I've recorded more than 400 episodes. I've had like 6 or 7 podcasts. I don't know. Kind of lost count over the years. I got a lot of half-eaten ones too, right? And looking back, none of them had that structure. None of them had that. What's the end goal? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? Yeah, you get to hear some awesome stories. Yeah, you get to have some awesome relationships. If you nurture them right, they'll turn into buying decisions, or they'll turn into referral partnerships or strategic partnerships or something. There's something, right? They're not just passively, yeah, I'm guessing on a show. This is great. There's some two-way, but having that end goal of how do I turn my business into like a 7 or 8 figure business? Who am I going to need around me in order to get there? How am I going to structure my offers? All of that. If I did that, wow, imagine where I'd be. But again, no regrets, right? I love the journey that took me to get here because now I can teach people. Like I did it the hard way. And if you're into that sort of thing, great. But if you're not, like most people aren't, learn from me. Here's what I could have done differently. I almost said wish. Here's what I wish I could have done differently. I don't wish I could have done differently, but here's what you can do differently because I did this, I got this result. If you do this, you're going to get this result.
Yeah, there's definitely people out there that know more about it than you do going in. Just being humble enough to go, yeah, I'd rather dodge some of these rocks. So, what advice do you got? Understanding that you can skip a lot of the fall on your face moments if you kind of pay attention. You're gonna have them. You're not getting through it without doing some of it. You're gonna fall on your face. It's gonna sting a little bit, but you're gonna learn from it, and then you're gonna be able to teach somebody else. Well, don't do that because that kind of sucked. But for sure. Awesome. So you're doing more than just podcasting, which is super interesting. And you kind of alluded to it when you talked about your go-to, dinner. But you're doing eco-friendly product business with your wife. What is that? What are you doing?
Well, so that business is called Exactly Zero, and that actually got started officially in early 2021. So it's actually older than Podcastify Me. I started Podcastify Me at the end of that same year. And The reason why we started exactly zero was because back in 2012, I got diagnosed with cancer and I'm fine. Everybody's like, oh my goodness, cancer. It's like, it was a pretty easy kind. I just had to have a surgery, didn't have to have any radiation or chemo or anything. It was just outpatient surgery. And then I got to recover for a bit and couldn't cough without pulling sutures for like a month. Right. So fun times, highly don't recommend. Um, but that's what launched us on this plan for our family to say, okay, we need to get serious about what we're eating. We need to make sure we're eating the right things. We're fueling our bodies with the right stuff. We don't need to eat any processed food. We especially don't need to eat any sugar. That's cut out. But then also, on top of that, we probably should be mindful about what we're putting on ourselves: deodorant, hair care, bug spray, sunscreen, lip balm, anything that we use on or around our family. We need to make sure that we're not caking ourselves with known carcinogens. And so my wife, Charlotte, started doing a bunch of research, and she started with deodorant, which, let me tell you, if you're going to try to make your own stuff, that is the hardest thing to start with if you don't have a tried and true recipe. She tried probably 40 different times to get it right. The first iterations did not work. They made you stink, and they didn't remove the stink. They were odorants. And on top of that, you had to put it on like with your hands, like put it's like cold oatmeal and you get it on your armpits. And then it's like it's greasy and you can't get it off. It's like, oh, this is not a good look. But we just kept persisting. We kept trying. And we got that figured out. And we got bar soap figured out. And we got a few other things figured out, lip balms. And people started seeing what we were doing. And they said, oh my goodness, you make your own lip balm? You make your own this? You make your own that? Have you thought about starting a business? And we're like, not really. But when 17 or 18 people ask you that same question, eventually it's like, maybe we should start a business about it. So we launched in early 2021, like I said, and we started off on Etsy. We had 3 kinds of bar soap and 3 kinds of lip balm. And we've actually scaled up to the point now where we have, last I checked, we have more than 40 products, and we're off Etsy entirely because it can't do what we need. It can't do subscriptions. It can't do wholesale, can't do fundraising. There's all kinds of things that we can do with our own website now that we couldn't do through the Etsy platform. So we're doing markets. We're actually working on hosting events now, getting other vendors to come alongside. And hey, what do you got? Like, let's get together and sell together and see what we can do. And it's just been amazing. And my wife is becoming a heck of an entrepreneur. Like, neither of us went to school for this. Neither of us have an MBA. I've got a degree in computer science. She's got a degree in music education. We both have bachelor's degrees. Not a one of us has ever been trained formally in how to run a business, but we're doing the thing. We're learning it the hard way. And it's rough sometimes, but it's really fun. Like, we're carving out a niche of freedom. It's great. I way over answered your question, man. I just realized.
No, I think you answered it about right. If you went on any longer, I was gonna stop. No, 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 about perfect.
Top.
Yeah. So no, that's awesome, and it is super important. Paying attention to what you're ingesting or putting on your body. We're living in it. You're you're connected with your environment. So what is that gonna consist of? So, yeah, I really like that. A lot of us could probably use that. There's kind of a pandemic with people that are, you know, dealing with chronic issues that might be able to be. I'm not a doctor, but they might be able to be solved by just considering that stuff. I know, a little bit of impact in my life with it, so there's definitely some truth to that. So
Yeah.
when you're talking, back on the podcast or in any area you want to go in, but when you're talking to folks, who are the people that you're able to help more often than not? What's the commonality between them? Whether it's like, hey, I need to help, figuring out how to work my podcast or whether to start my podcast, or what does that look like?
You mean like the personality profile of people that I'm
Yeah,
most likely to help?
just kind of like the avatar of who you're helping.
Yeah. It's going to be people that are really heart centric. So I like to use the term ISIL. So EISL, emotionally intelligent servant leader. That type seems to excel really, really well. And yeah, there's technical things and there's how do you get this thing talking to this other thing? How do you publish? Where do you put? But all of that is figure outable. The part that is harder is how to build relationships with people. You've got to be really good at it. The way that we do podcasting, we're not. after, hey, we're trying to turn you into the next Joe Rogan. I mean, there's already a Joe Rogan. He's doing a pretty good job being himself, right? We're not looking to get 10 million listeners so that you get fat corporate sponsorships. We want you to be able to have a really dialed in core group of people. And if that core group of people is 500 and they're supporting you and they're advocating for you and they're going to bat for you, and they've got a really strong relationship where they're like, I am really glad that I met this person when I did. Like, I wonder where my life would be. Actually, I don't want to wonder what my life would be like. I think it would be pretty crappy if I hadn't met this person when I did, because I was on their podcast. And you surround yourself with people like that, it's going to take your business to the next level. So yeah, those are the kind of people that, they're tuned in, they're operating at a very high energy level. They try to avoid being down in the fear, the red range. Oh my goodness, I can't figure out how to pay the bills. Right? It's like, yeah, we all need money, but let's think higher. Let's elevate ourselves. Let's get some serious altitude, like 30,000, 50,000 feet, and be up here so we can serve at our highest level. I love working with those people. Oh my goodness. This gets me foamed up just talking about it, man. I know those people are out there. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, those are the folks you want to meet. They're definitely out there. And I was having this conversation earlier today on another recording, and I think it's true. The low level thinkers, you're all in competition with one another. There's only so much out there, We got to go. It's got to be me. It's got to be me, 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 me. When really, if you're at the higher level of it, or if you're thinking a little bit deeper, a little bit further past that first, that sale or whatever it is, you're thinking collaboration. You're not thinking competition. How can we work together? How can we bring better results? How can we synergize? How can we not be additive but multiplicative? Where we work together in such a fantastic way that we've been able to bring tremendous value in different areas. So that's the way to think. And finding folks like that, yeah, they're they're,
Yeah.
they're the best. Um, so obviously we're all looking for those people. What are the avatar of your power partners? Who do you tend to synergize really well with, other industries or other niches or things on you know out there?
It seems like people in the marketing space are really good power partners, and there are very few marketing firms that offer podcasting as one of their services. To them, it seems like it's a little bit of a weird critter, but I've been on the business end of this. I've been steeped in it since 2019. It's very much a marketing tool. It's very much a marketing tool. It's very much a sales tool. It's a relationship building tool. But that one to many messaging where you're reaching out and you've got a message you want to share with the world at large, and a segment of that population is going to resonate and be attracted and want to find out more, bro, that's marketing. So yeah, power partners for me are people in the marketing space, people that may want to offer podcasting as a service, as kind of an add-on to what they're currently doing. And I've got multiple relationships right now with people like that, and it's amazing. I get leads all the time.
I gotcha. And now just just an off question here. Do you find standing helps the podcast?
It does. And I enjoy standing because I served my time. I was a computer science nerd. I would program. I would sit in a closet, like literally, and just hunched over like a T-Rex, And when I'm standing, I just feel really good energy. When I first started doing it, and I've been doing it for probably 2 or 3 years now, and I'm like, man, I feel like a caged animal. And I couldn't figure out what was causing it. Dude, it's because you're on your feet all the time. You've got boundless amounts of energy. Holy moly. When I first started podcasting, I actually used to do it in the back seat of my truck, and I've got a Ford F-150. And remember how I was talking at the beginning about the weather? I think it might have been before you hit record. The weather in St. Louis is indecisive. If there is ever a weather pattern that could be diagnosed as having ADHD, it's this. And so there was like a grand total of 17 days out of the entire year where it wasn't super hot out there and I had to put an ice pack under my belly, or I'm freezing my everything off, my extremities, and it's cold out there. So yeah, that affects the energy when you're like shivering or burning up. But yeah, the energy is a lot better when you're standing.
Awesome. Yeah, I just I had noticed, and I fidget a lot. I like to rotate. If I'm standing, I'm gonna dance, you know. So I was just kind of curious how it worked for you. So awesome.
I dance all the time.
Yeah, I'd be pacing back and forth. So okay, great. So I know like one of the main questions a lot of us are gonna ask, and a lot of people that have ever considered podcasting or, you know, any kind of interest in it is, how do I monetize a podcast?
Great question. So I'm gonna go back to what I said earlier and really dig into that. So monetizing a podcast, try not to think of it as, hey, I get a bunch of listens, then I can start getting sponsorships. That is something you can do. It's going to take a while for you to get there. Almost everybody else is trying to do it that way. If you really want to monetize quickly and effectively, treat it like a marketing and sales tool. Whoops, sorry. Did it cut out just
Yeah,
now?
muted for a second.
Okay, I'm sorry. It something happened with my microphone. Um, Jimmy, go ahead and try to answer the question again, and then you can just clip cut,
Yeah,
put it in
I'll just
there.
re-ask it.
Okay, cool.
So how do I monetize a podcast?
Great question. So I'm going to go back to what I said earlier about monetizing and just I want people to think less of, hey, I got to get a bunch of listens and get thousands of downloads and start getting big corporate sponsorships. Like that is a way to do it. It's going to take a while because you're going to get lost in the noise because almost everybody else is doing it that way. Instead, the way to monetize quickly and more effectively, treat it less like a content tool, the podcast, treat it more like a relationship building tool. Build the relationships with the people that you have on your show. And to get them to become buyers, you have to be really clear on what you're selling. Develop your value stack. What's at the free level? You're going to have a lot of stuff that they're going to enter in. What's at the first low ticket tier, the paid level? What's a little more expensive, but it's not probably a fit for everybody? What is super high level? That's definitely not going to be a good fit for everybody. And you can only do like 12 of those without losing your marbles. Okay. Develop your value stack, develop your irresistible offer based off of what you can do. And this is actually great because if you start partnering up with some of your podcast guests and you combine offers that they can do that you can't do and you can do and they can't do, you have a really potent thing that you can provide to the world. And you're helping them, they're helping you. It's awesome. But if you can get an irresistible offer together, that's easily 10 times more valuable than what you're charging, where people feel silly about saying, I'll pass. It's like, don't pass. Like, oh my goodness, where are you going to find this? Holy gee whiz, buy the thing. Then you're going to monetize and you're going to be getting money coming in. And it feels like cheating at first. It's like, oh my goodness, I'm misusing a pod. You sure are misusing a podcast because everybody else thinks it's content and it is, but it's not just content. So, man, I get foamed up talking about this, bro. Should have
Yeah.
asked that at the beginning. The energy would have been like, yeah, by this time.
Yeah, okay, fine, we'll redo it. No, absolutely. No, it's great.
Start
Uh
over.
and that goes back to not competing, collaborating. You don't want to compete with the people that are
Yeah.
trying to get those million, you know, you don't want to compete with Joe Rogan. You're not going to do it. He has a head start, a good one. But
Yeah.
collaborate with the people that are, you know, around you. You know, find those people like you mentioned that are you know, the really good power partners, the people that are going to synergize with you, the people that you're going to be able to help and they're going to be able to help you. Um, just getting that mentality is huge. So awesome. Is there anything that I missed or failed to ask that you wanted to add?
I don't think so. That's always a hard question. What is it that we're not thinking of? I don't know because we didn't think of it, bro.
I was hoping
You're
you
gonna
thought of
spray
it.
my brain, man. I'm 43. You can't be doing this. I'm an old guy.
Well, I didn't think of it. I thought maybe you would. So, okay, perfect.
Between
Well,
the two of us, we both thought of nothing. No, you did a great job.
yeah,
Can't
perfect.
think
Well,
of anything else.
what's the best way that somebody can get a hold of you if they do think of something?
Email probably. So Fritz at podcastify.me. That's the best way. Either I'm going to respond to the email or a member of my team will pounce on it and either respond or let me know that you contacted me. But yeah, if you got questions about podcasting, if you're the kind of person that wants to think out of the box, wants to try things in a new way, and you're reasonably sure it would work, I'm more than happy to brainstorm with you. It probably will work.
Perfect. Well, if anybody would like to
Yeah.
get a hold of Michael, absolutely reach out. You're going to be doing yourself a favor. If you've ever thought about hosting a podcast or just, you know, it's on the horizon and you're just trying to soundboard your idea to let somebody come back and say, it's okay to try it. Absolutely reach out to them. If you're shy and you prefer an introduction, reach out to me. I'll be happy to make that three-way introduction as well. If anybody out there would like to, be interviewed as well, you can reach me. I'll have my link tree in the description below, all of Michael's links. But other than that, Michael, I really appreciate you coming on, taking your time, pouring into us. There's a lot out there that I don't know, and I appreciate people that have come before me that are able to say, "Hey, avoid this rock. It hurt real bad when I ran into it." So, more people need to take advantage of that. So, let's all get out there. Let's meet some interesting people and get to know some more people.